Hey everyone, this is Kevin from thechesswebsite.com. Today we're going to be continuing our study on middle game strategies. So far we've touched on open and close games, how to tell from pawn structure if a game is open or closed, and then how to play accordingly. And last video we touched on what signifies a good bishop and what signifies a bad bishop and how to play accordingly. And today we're going to be going over outposts created by pawns up the board and how to play accordingly. So if you look at this board, there's two pawns that you want to look at, and right off the bat you should see this b5 and this g5 square have really good outposts in the c6 and the f6 squares. And basically, if you can occupy a square with a piece that is less valuable than any of your opponent's pieces that can capture it, this can lead to a huge strategic advantage. So if you can put a minor piece on this square and black doesn't have a piece that can capture it, obviously none of the black's pawns can capture it, and black doesn't have a minor piece to capture it, so anything that he would capture with would be of greater value. So if we just look at it from here, if white moves his knight to c6, which is protected by the b5 square here, this is a great outpost for the knight. He can at any time, move and attack any other squares, but no piece can make him move, so he can just hang out here and apply tons of pressure. Obviously you can see all the squares he's attacking already on the black side, but black can't do anything about this. If he were to attack this piece, it would have to be with one of his rooks, and obviously white would gladly trade away his knight for a rook. Another key square you probably already saw is moving your bishop to f6, protected by the g5 square, and on f6 it's another great outpost. There's nothing black can do to move this bishop, and the bishop has great attacking lines against black, and there's not much black can do. White's going to have a very good game, especially if they move both of them. If white also brings his knight here, there's nothing black can do to fend these pieces off, and white's going to have a very good game. So in any game you want to look at the pawn structure that you have and see if there's any outposts that you can put your minor pieces, your knights or your bishops, into a place where your opponent will be unable to force them off. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a real-life example in a game played and see what to look for in the game. Alright, go ahead and take a look at this example here and see where you think white should play and where white eventually wants to go. You can take a minute, pause the video if you want to, but just take a look at white's position here. And hopefully you saw that eventually white is going to want to come to the d6 square. It's a great outpost for white. No piece of black of equal or lesser value can capture this. Obviously you see the black bishop is on a light square, so he can't move the knight, and black's other pieces are much more valuable than the knight, and so white's knight can just hang out here. So eventually white's going to want to play his knight to d2, to e4, to d6, and as you'll see, there's not really much black can do about it. This d6 square is going to be a great outpost for us. So if we look at it, our first move is obviously going to be d2, and black would like to try to kind of open up his game. Once we get to the d6 square, it's really going to cramp black down. This d7 square is going to be a huge weakness because it's going to kind of block off both sides of black's attack. His pieces are going to have a hard time working together because they're so cramped in. They're not going to have a lot of space. So black would like to just simply bring maybe his pawn to b5, bring his bishop into the action, maybe put his bishop on c6, defending the d7 square, which is a weakness, and just getting his bishop into the game. But as you see, after b5 and we bring our knight to e4, black can no longer just play his bishop to b7 because we can just fork his bishop with check here. So that's not going to work. And after d2, black cannot simply defend this e4 square with his pawn to d5 because of en passant. We can just take his pawn right there. So if we come to d2 and black tries to go to b5, and then once we come to e4, black tries to come to the c7 square with his queen, protecting the b7 square of his bishop, we can continue what we were going for. Put our knight on the same outpost, check the king. The king is going to have to move to f8. If he moves to d8, we can simply fork the rook on h8. So he can't do that. So he's going to have to move to f8, and then simply here we can take the bishop on c8, and the c8 was defending this d7 pawn. So after black takes, we can now capture on the d7 square, and if black captures, we can obviously recapture with our rook, and we're going to be up a pawn, which is great. In any endgame, if you're up a pawn, that usually bodes well for you. So if you look at that, black has trouble trying that, so he may try something else. If we go to d2, he may just completely scratch, moving the pawn and try to expand. He may just castle on the king side. Obviously, we're going to continue with our attack here to e7, and now we may see black try to bring his queen to the c7 square, and then once we have our outpost here, we may see black come to the d7 square to put added pressure on the d7 square. Obviously, we saw that once we take, we have two attackers on the d7 square. So this right here allows black to defend the d7 square. But if you look at it, all of black's pieces, black's rook on a8 isn't doing anything, and all three of these pieces for black are all defending this d7 square, and white's not having to do too much. And you can see the amount of pressure that this knight on d6 is having. Black's having to use all of his pieces to defend this d7 square. Black's not anywhere close to attacking white. And what we can do here is, since black's completely cramped, is we can start to attack on the king side. We can bring our rook to the f3 square. Eventually we can bring our queen over to the e4 square. We can bring our queen over to the g6 square. Once we get our rook over to the g3 square, black's going to have a real hard time. It's going to take black a lot of moves to try to come to the king side to protect, and at the same time, this knight is really giving black a lot of problems. It's cramping him down. He can't take it without giving up a lot of material. And so white has a huge advantage. Obviously, you see right here we have the same material advantage, but just from putting this knight on this outpost of d6, white has a huge advantage, and black's going to basically crumble as we just completely annihilate him on the king side. So in any game, it's very important, whether it be a bishop or knight or any other minor piece, to look at a great outpost for your pieces, especially as your pawns move up the board. Try to find a good outpost and see if you can get there, and once you do, see how you can attack from that outpost. And if not, hey, you may just want to leave it there and just apply pressure like this knight's doing. This knight's not attacking anyone right now, but it's applying a lot of pressure, and black can't really move anywhere. So another key concept just to keep in mind when you're playing chess. Hope this video helped along with the others. I obviously have a ton more. Hopefully I'll start making them a little sooner together, but thanks for watching. I've had a lot of great feedback. We've only been up for about a month, and we already have over 120 subscribers, so I thank you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Got a lot of great more stuff coming out. And if you haven't checked out the website, www.thechesswebsite.com, hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys next video.